Hello,
All right.
everybody. It's Bill and Moss.
Even though I'm not actually here.
What do
Or
you mean you're
something
not
like that.
here?
Well, originally I wasn't going to be here, so I'm not here. You don't see me. But I made it back, so I guess that's all good.
Moss, you know, I've only had 2 beers this afternoon, and I know... Okay. All right, so everybody, it's Bill and Mosquito. We're going to do the first ever open hangout. This is number 1. And what open hangout is, meaning that you, our audience, our friends and followers, fellow mod monkeys, can join the hangout today, providing that you have what, Moss?
As long as you have a camera and a microphone and they both work.
And they work good.
Yes. If we can't understand you,
Yes. Yeah,
you might get the boot.
We did a surprise hangout on Thursday, and somebody popped in, had no microphone or camera.
Didn't quite work.
Yeah, I don't understand that. I mean, okay, we can see your profile pic. All right? No, we're not going to allow that anymore to happen.
Yeah, you might get kicked out if that happens.
Yes, boot them. I want to see them get booted. So today, it's just whatever. We're going to shoot the shit. Just hang out. Moss just got back from a mini vacation. Drew is still in Florida. I haven't heard from him. I'm a little bit worried because, as we all know, Florida's had a bit of a black evil cloud over it the last couple of weeks. I hope he's okay.
Hope so.
And you had gone to some type of bubble marathon in Madison, Wisconsin.
Something like that, yeah. I don't know. I avoided it. It was too close to downtown or too close to the Capitol for me. And everybody decided afterwards that they wanted to go out to lunch, and they went out right to some place off of State Street, and it's right by the Capitol. And for those that don't know anything about Madison, there's like the Capitol, and then there's a bunch of roads that go around it in alternating one-ways, and then there's diagonals that shoot off the corners, and a third of the roads were under construction, and then another third were closed for some farmer's market thing, and then the other ones were just packed beyond belief. So I tried meeting them for lunch, and I spent 45 minutes driving around trying to find somewhere to park that wasn't a max limit of 25 minutes. And then I was like, you know what? I don't even enjoy going out to eat, so I'll just catch up with you guys later.
Okay. And but your significant other went there because there's this bubble marathon, right? Isn't that what it is? It's a bubble marathon.
Yep.
And you run this marathon, and then at the end of it, when you go through the finish line, there's like a massive pile of bubbles, a bubble machine, and you run through that.
Yeah, I don't know if it was just the finish line or if there were like checkpoints that had them too or what, but I have no idea.
I don't know. I think a lawsuit's happening if bubbles are slippery, right?
I don't know. You probably have to sign some sort of a waiver or something.
We've got somebody joining us. Shimmy Cocoa Puff. You've been muted, Shimmy. Who are you? I don't recognize Shimmy. Yo, what up? Shimmy, do you have a microphone and camera? Because we were just saying that you have to have a mic and camera to join us. Otherwise, it's kind of pointless. Oh, sorry, I just read Twitter. Shimmy, what is your Twitter handle, Shimmy? Cool. I don't recognize it, so it's somebody we get to meet for the first time. They're going to get their camera and mic ready, I guess, Moz. So this is the great thing about the Hangout being open, is that we're going to have some surprises. I'm not Shimmy Cocoa Puffs. All right, I'm sorry. You're not. It just comes to mind right away when I see Shimmy up on the screen. I reflect back on childhood things, and you know.
Isn't that in a later song too, from sometime in the '90s? I'm not even going to sing it for you, but.
You know, earlier on Twitter, I made a little gripe. Sometimes I get a little grumpy on Twitter, which is very rarely. I've got customers that insist on still using America Online email accounts, and I'm baffled by this. Well, I mean, listen, I understand that some people have these junk email accounts for spam. They want to use these accounts for registering on sites, stores, whatever, and they just know I'll let it be dormant. It will collect thousands and thousands of spam emails, and I'll go periodically clear it out. But this is like customers that are ordering stuff from me, and then when I have a correspondence, it just bounces back. 50% of the time, AOL accounts bounce back at me, regardless of what email service I'm using on my end. I don't get it, people.
It's because AOL has transitioned into a help desk type thing, haven't they?
For seniors?
Well, I thought I thought it turned into what, like AOL. I don't remember what it was called, but I kept getting like magnets and stuff in the mail that were like AOL now does something along the lines of like tech support if you want it. It's like a service or something. I don't know.
That you would like do over the phone or live through the website kind of thing?
Something like that, I thought.
Be right back. Okay, Shimmy.
So
yeah, we're trying this open Hangout for the first time. And you know what? We've had requests in the past. Hey, I want to join the Hangout and talk about something. I've got a beef that I want to express to you guys or questions. Here's your opportunity. And yes, we do realize it's summertime. People are on vacation. It's a Sunday afternoon. It's beautiful weather.
Yeah, that's why I'm not here.
Yeah, you're not.
Or wait.
Moss isn't here. He's a hologram projected while he's at the Bubble Marathon. Jimmy is still trying to work on his camera. Hey, by the way, Moss, tomorrow, Monday, we're going to publish a monkey overview video of a new case. Well, it's not really a new case. It's been around for a year, the Antec P50. It's a micro ATX case. And what's amazing about it, hey, Shimmy, you look good. Thanks for joining us. How's your audio? Can you turn his, is he muted himself? Yeah. Yeah, it's Google Hangout. It's always going to throw you some type of cryptic. There's always some. Yeah, you got to figure it out. Anyways, tomorrow we're going to publish a video. Graham is editing right now, or he may even have it done by this time. It's the Antec P50 Micro ATX case. This case, when it came out, retailed for $79. It's available now on Newegg for $49. And it's the first time I'd heard or seen this when I was at Greg's shop Friday night. And I was really amazed for $49. And it reminded me a lot of the Bitfinex Prodigy. You know, the one that kind of looked like the little, the mini Apple G5, G4 case.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't have the handles on top, but it's that same kind of boxy style, and it holds a 240 radiator on the top of it. Oh, also, Moss, this is kind of funny. It had, what was it? I think 2 or 3 different locations for 80mm fans.
Jeez.
Yeah, and my reaction was, well, Antec's got a warehouse of 80mm fans they need to unload on people. So.
Well, I know a guy that has a few.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that, especially if you're doing an ITX build. You know, 80mm is very handy. It's perfect size. Okay, what are you going to show us? Oh, stacks and stacks upon stacks of. Oh, yeah, you got those 80mm radiators.
I might.
Oh yeah, yep.
And then,
well, they're great for little, you know, like little scratch builds, especially if the ITX stuff that you like to do.
then I just got this one too.
Triple A. Have you thought about, like, you know, something like that? You'd have to design a build just for that radiator. You know.
Yeah, kind of.
Like a home theater style.
Well, I've done a few of those.
Something that's long and narrow.
I did have an idea for it, and I don't know when that's going to necessarily happen. But you know, who knows? We'll see. I like small computer cases. I like small radiators. If it works, it works.
By the way, just a heads up, everybody. Speaking of small cases, Moss and I are going to have an opportunity to work with the new Case Labs bullet case. We're going to be getting one from Case Labs, which they've got 3 versions: ITX, Micro ATX, and ATX. Moss, we both agreed on ITX, right?
That's what I said.
Yeah. And we also know some other individuals around the world that are getting this case, and we thought it'd be cool is after we get our cases to invite Jay Warner back from Case Labs, and these other guys that got these cases are going to do projects with it, and kind of do I don't know, like a generalized discussion about the case, you know, and kind of share what we're going to plan for our individual builds and mods. And I told this to Jay when they first announced the Bullet, Steve McQueen, early 70s movie where he's driving the Mustang GT and there's the Charger, and he's can't remember what his character's name was. Do you remember?
No, I do not.
Was Shimmy said that mute wasn't on his end?
He says that it couldn't detect his mic.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's Google Hangout. Welcome to the fold, man.
Yeah.
We've dealt with so many weird things that have happened. It's frustrating. It's just part of the initiation process.
Frank Bullet.
Oh, Frank Bullet. Okay. You know, here's the thing. I've seen that movie so many times, but I've only seen the car chase. I go right to the car chase because it's one of the most famous Hollywood movie car chases right in San Francisco. And I think the car chase lasts for like 17 minutes or something.
Yeah, I was going to say it's almost half the movie.
Yeah, I remember when the first time I watched the movie was on VHS back in the VCR days. And I'm watching it and going, okay, where's the cool stuff? I mean, it's not towards the end of the movie, but yeah. So I suggested that I would do it like a bullet theme, and then later when I talked to Jay again, and we were talking about the build, I said it's kind of hard to make forest green metallic look good in a PC build, and that that's the color of the Mustang, and I was like,
I mean, there's a difference between looking good and looking good online in pictures.
Exactly. Yeah. Well,
because that's like the biggest thing I struggled with dancing iridescence is like that thing looks really awesome in person, but it's like ridiculously hard to take pictures of. So
it is to express that.
Yeah, which is kind of why it took we got 2 pictures out of Brian, and it took us almost 2 hours.
Yeah,
to get pictures when he took pictures of that thing. So yeah,
and all that.
Yeah, it's like holy cow, that took a lot of work.
Yeah, it is a lot of work when you're in a photo studio and you're doing a product shoot. Yeah. Yep, and you're manipulating the light. So yep, the Antec P50 Micro ATX case, and if you've ever watched a Mod Zoo case review before, there's a bit of a screwing around by us. We kind of
a bit.
Yeah. I was there when it happened. I don't know what Graham's going to keep in the video or not, because sometimes it may people like, did I really say that?
Yeah. Well, it's one of those. It's like I feel like it's more like a little bit of review sprinkled in with a lot of screwing around usually is how our videos go.
Yeah, I agree. However, I will say this. It's cool that people feel free to say really what their opinion is without worrying about offending a sponsor or manufacturer. And those guys bought this case. It wasn't sent from Antec. So it's, they're not trying to appease anybody.
Yeah.
So when we really like something, we genuinely really like it. It's a good product versus, oh, well, we don't want to offend them because we may not get samples again or something or whatever, Yeah,
if we offend them and don't get any more samples, then we don't have to worry about, am I going to have time to get this done?
Yeah, true. Yeah. I mean, there are some companies that, let's be honest, the quality is kind of subpar, and But hey, if it's at a great price, that's justifiable, you know. But you know, sometimes just like, I don't know, I'm just not really excited about this.
I've gotten a couple of review samples that way.
Yeah. Do we still do reviews with them, or?
Oh yeah, I did them.
What, I mean, do you think we'll be getting future samples from them or not again?
Oh, I don't know. It was well, it was a Silverstone and a Deep Cool, so probably.
Oh,
I just got them because other people didn't want to review. Okay, whatever.
Basically, Mosquito's getting the cast-off review samples that the other staff guys don't want.
I'm gonna mod one of them. I think the Silverstone Raven X. I think that'll be a fun one to mod. I was messing around with a little bit ago last weekend, actually, before we took off for Lake City. I was waiting for Emily to get home from work, and so I was messing around with it and seeing what I could fit in there for radiators and that kind of stuff. So that could be a fun one.
It is an odd design, though. It's very.
It's small. It's a small, very compact design. Like, it doesn't have a whole lot of room. There's no room behind the motherboard tray, for example. So you're going to have to do some custom wiring or have a crap ton of wires just hanging out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. And it's got that weird window, perforated window design, too, right?
Yeah.
Is that the one? Yeah.
It's perforated.
Like, yeah,
no?
It's a clear window, but it's got holes in it.
No.
That's the one that Stu reviewed.
I think so.
Well, pull up this Silverstone. You've already published a review of it?
Yeah, that was a little while ago. Let me find it quick.
Hi, Shimmy. Shimmy's back, and he's still investigating why he's being automatically muted.
Probably says they can't detect still. Because Google Hangouts is Google Hangouts.
Yeah, and if you know anything about Google devs, they develop something and then they kind of run away from it and just let us deal with the bugs.
Yeah, pretty much. And then they'll just not fix it, and then they'll just come back with a version 2 later. Yay!
Yeah.
But then not actually tell you, and you just sort of end up with it. Like, where the heck did all these buttons come from?
Yeah. Okay, this doesn't have the window I was describing, but it is an acquired taste case.
I think so.
Very thin. You did get a radiator, though.
Yeah, I mean, well, you can't do that
without modding. Is that your triple 80 radiator in it?
No, that's a 360.
Oh, okay.
The full-on 360, you just have to remove this little drive cage to fit it in there. And this is a 240, so you can fit a 240 in there. And then this was a 280 that you can fit in there, barely, just barely. Like, it wedges in between.
Wow, I'm impressed.
Yeah, I mean, the fans only mount as 120s under there, but, you know, yeah, there's not a whole lot of space in there.
Yeah. Huh. It is really interesting. If you're familiar with Silverstone, if you've followed their products over the last decade, how they've really changed so much from the all-aluminum stuff to the more plasticky, kind of, and then these kind of more, I don't know what you describe them as, like aggressive kind of Transformers-inspired designs.
Yeah.
And, I mean,
I'm not that big of a fan of that turn. The Silverstones I always liked was when they had like the TJ07 was brand new, you know.
Yeah.
And
epic.
That was one of my favorite cases, and so it's like back when Silverstones and Leanne Lee's looked a lot the same is when I liked them, because
they just exuded quality when you saw the photos. It's like it just looked classy, high end.
This is actually the Raven X that I reviewed. I think is actually only the second Silverstone case I've ever had, and the first one was that was expensive. That was probably the most expensive case I've ever bought. See if I can find it. It was one of their HTPC cases that had the like VFD screen in the front and stuff.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I remember there was Maximum PC. They do their annual Dream Machine build, and it seemed like they were always working with a Silverstone. To me, they always chose the Silverstone Full Tower for their Dream Machine build for the long. You know, that was a reoccurring manufacturer they worked with.
Probably. I would. I mean, why not?
Yeah, it made total sense. I mean, it was a high end. I mean, you had that, and like you say, it was Lee and Silverstone. Those were the top.
Yep.
And you know, I can only, I don't know for a fact, but I can just imagine that the case market has gotten so much more competitive. There's so many different offerings, and people aren't so hung up on like, should I get an aluminum one versus steel? As I remember, that was always a big debate. I'm looking at this, you know, Silverstone, or should I look at this Antec instead? But it's steel, and then like, well, you know, the aluminum's supposed to dissipate heat better than steel. Well, I mean, if you're doing it passively cooled only,
Speaking of which,
right? Yeah, how's that coming along? Your StreamCom,
the
which
case
is 100% passive.
Yeah, the case is going great. It's the my hardware that seemed to have let me down.
Oh yeah, well see, they've got this thing where you can only have certain motherboards in it. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, and if you want 100% silent, apart from, you know, if you have a mechanical hard drive in there, or if you have some sort of electrical noise from a motherboard or whatever, you know, if that's what you want, that's really the only place you can go to get it. Like, I don't really know of any other cases that are 100% passive anymore.
well,
Because I used to have a couple, but...
Do you remember that guy that made the cases in the USA? This is a few years ago, that made those home theater cases passively cooled, and they were made in the USA by this guy. Remember them? I can do a search on it, but they were really high end though.
Well, it'd be hard to say that the street comms aren't aimed at that either.
Right.
I mean, I think this one retailed for 360 something, but it's a lot of aluminum. So.
So this is only an ITX, or it takes micro ATX as well.
This one takes all the way up to ATX.
Oh, jeez.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, it's not small. I mean, it is. It's thin, but it's not. It's not like it only takes an ITX motherboard and only one hard drive or whatever. You can fit up to 6 2.5-inch drives in it if you want.
But
6 or 5.
It's the orientation where the CPU is on the board that's limiting your choice. Is that it?
Yeah, it's mostly the fact that you can't have anything in the way between the two. So like between the motherboard and the wall of the case, you can't have anything because that's where the heat pipes need to run, at least in this particular case. In some of their bigger cases, they have the version, or this special little bracket thing where you can basically raise the heat pipes, but it's still one of those situations where it's kind of like, well, what do you do? I mean, so this is what I was talking about. These heat pipes go right through. You have to make sure that you don't have anything on your motherboard between the two. So hey, everybody's getting a sneak peek of a review that's going to come out soon.
Oh, that's cool.
But yeah, so I mean, it's all of that, but it can fit. It holds up to an ATX board, so. I mean, you can only have 2.5-inch drives at that point because your 3.5-inch drives sit over here on this side. But I mean,
okay, Moss, I have not seen one of these in person yet. The construction of it, each side wall of it is an individual milled piece. Is that what we're looking at? And then the floor is milled too from aluminum?
Yep.
Yeah, and that's your cost right there, bud.
Yep, it's fairly thick.
Yeah. Well, it looks like from here, like it's like 1/4 or 1/2 inch almost.
The sides, I want to say, are 3/8, and then all the other panels are 1/8, and then the front panel is also, I think, 3/8. Yeah, it's not light. But I mean, and that's why it's like, I mean, I assume that's why it's as expensive as it is because it's, I mean, it's just so much physical material, and then all of the time spent doing all of the work too. It's like, here's all those fins. And I'm not sure if it's milled or cast, but
I gotta be honest here, when I look at passively cooled through aluminum like this, I would like to have seen more fins, thinner fins than what they've got here.
Yeah.
I mean, you're milling it anyways. Why not? Why not make them thinner and make more of them? Because, I mean, how much heat are we really talking about here?
For this case, you can go up to 95 watts, but that's in ideal circumstances. So they say their maximum recommended is their maximum recommended is 65 watt. So not a lot, but mid-range.
Shimmy, you've had like 3 attempts here. You're like, I'm trying. What do you think, Moss? What do you think it is? Why is Google being a pain in the ass over this? Is it like, is it like, do you have like 2 separate mics, like one in your webcam and one in your headset, or is it maybe that Google Hangout is recognizing one type of mic on your system, and you need to go in there and manually select it, or?
I have no idea.
Really?
I haven't had that problem.
I'll say this though, he's a quick texter. I mean, we can have. Actually, it's the first time I've seen me that's that quick when he's texting. So, I'd be curious to know where Shimmy is at. Shimmy, if he found us on Twitter, and I don't recognize the name right away, but yeah. I mean, and again, it's a Sunday afternoon in the summertime. We're not expecting to have a lineup of people dropping in here, so. We'll let Shimmy stay. Maz, I was wondering if we should we do monkeying around still, even though it's open Hangout? Because
if you want to, I can't promise that I have anything for it, but you know.
All right, we can hold off later. Is anybody in the chat? I haven't even had a chance to look on the YouTube channel if there's anybody in the chat or not.
Oh, there's a few people.
Oh, there is.
Got some good activity going on.
What's people up to? Do you have any questions for us? By the way, if you're in Florida, keep an eye out for Droog and his family.
I think last I heard from him, he was already in North Carolina.
Oh, okay.
But I thought that was yesterday, so who knows? Google's McGee just said he doesn't even know how Hangouts work. Don't worry. Don't worry, neither do we. We just push buttons until things light up and they tell us we're live. That's why last week, 2 weeks ago? Whatever it was, I think it was 2 weeks ago where we ended up being like half an hour late because this stupid thing where it's like, nope, it won't let us push the button.
Yeah,
hey, we have the button, and it won't work.
There was
Crap.
no live broadcast button for some reason.
We were live. We just had turned on, a 30-minute delay. That's all.
Yeah, it was all planned, Moss, right? Had some interesting conversations going on my Facebook page today, actually. It was in regards to, we've got the GTX 1080 and 1070 video cards on the market now, and the topic was about how prices are starting to now fall on your 980 GTXs and your 980 Ti's and your 970s. And Friday night when I saw Graham, he had 2 GTX 970s that he said he got for like around a couple $100 a piece. I didn't catch it. Maybe he got them at Micro Center or something. But some of the guys are like, I can't afford a 1080, but this is an opportunity to watch the prices on Newegg for the 980s, and also eBay. I'm always amazed, Moss, people that don't utilize eBay.
Well, some people want that warranty.
That's true. That's true. But you have buyer protection. If you get something from somebody, even though they say no returns, you can go through PayPal and you can get your money back if they sell you a crappy, item that doesn't work. So you've got protection.
Yeah, I was gonna say, but that only works if it's not working within the whatever it is 45-day period. I mean, you buy a card brand new off the shelf at a discount from like Micro Center or Newegg or wherever, and you still have a 3-year warranty from when you bought it versus
true, but,
manufacture date.
Okay, and I get busy with projects, and to the point where, I bought a GTX 980 off eBay a couple weeks ago, right? And I literally didn't even get a chance to try it out to make sure if it worked till today. I've been that busy. Normally, when you get something, at least within a day or two, you're going to try it out because you bought it off eBay and you're like, oh, yeah, I got to protect myself and make sure that this works. So I think I'm kind of an exception. Waiting 2 weeks after I bought it, I actually felt like, well, geez, if this doesn't work, I've got to it took me 2 weeks to finally, try it out to see if it works or not. But watch these auctions on eBay.
Especially the ones that end at really weird times too.
Yeah.
I mean, no, not those. Don't watch.
No, yeah, we're gonna try to keep these secrets. Yeah,
Dang it. Actually, no. The more stuff that I don't win off of eBay, the less I spend.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't need a 1070 or 1080 for these builds I'm doing. I've got 2 different builds. 980 is fine for me. 780 would be fine for me.
Hell, I'm just waiting and looking forward to finally using my 760s.
Yeah,
might have to peel the stickers off the water block that say 760 and just let people think they're 970s or something.
Sure, you can do that.
I almost bought 970 water blocks for my 760s because they're the same reference design, those short ones.
Yeah.
And I was like, I could buy 970 blocks, and then everybody will think they're 970s.
Who was the manufacturer of the blocks?
The ones I got are heat killers.
Oh yeah, those are nice looking.
And very heavy.
Oh yeah. Well, what do you think? Like 3 pounds or more?
Probably. Easy. I don't know.
Yeah. Jay mentioned, speaking of heat killer, Jay Warner from Case Labs the other day mentioned heat killer's new reservoirs that they just released. Have you seen those yet? With the interesting, you've got like 4-rod bracket that holds the reservoir. So,
yeah. I did see those go by. Kind of. I mean, for most of this kind of stuff that I do, not really. I mean, I like it. It just doesn't necessarily fit in with a lot of what I do, I guess. It's kind of a weird way to look at it, but
yeah, it's just not your style. I mean, I mentioned to Jay that they're cool and it's good to see something different on the market. Personally, I do like that look of just the reservoir alone. Still, it's just, to me, it's just clean.
For sure, yeah.
So we'll take a peek on their website to see if they're listed on here yet. Reservoirs. Heat killer tube. Yeah, they got them listed.
Yep. I saw they had a news release thing on their site about it too. That's when I shared it in our Mod Zoo staff chat.
Well, also what I like is I like the anodized colors that they're offering.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anodized is always good. I like to see. Love seeing red, green, and blue, and purple. Anodized. I love it.
I like black because it fits in with pretty much everything.
Yeah, it's easy. Yeah,
just hide it.
And cables are default black, so that makes it easy.
Yep, that's what I like. I like my just solid black cable wires. Like, just don't even bother sleeving them. Just black wire. Call it good. That's what I did for quite a few of my projects.
Now, let me ask you this, Moss, on the subject of liquid cooling. Do you have like a favorite brand and a brand that you try to, you kind of steer away from because you've had bad experiences with their products?
For different things, I typically try to buy Alpha Cool radiators just because I like the look of them and the design of them and the functionality. Yeah, well, on the thicker ones, yeah, like the XT45s, and but they're also fairly cheap, like compared to most of the other things. Like, I love Hardware Labs radiators, but I've gotten so frustrated with the older ones that are wider than pretty much anything else that it's like, well, it would fit a 240, but you can't because it's a Hardware Labs and not, yeah. And so that's frustrating. But otherwise, I really like those too, and I have a few of them. I actually have almost exclusively right now, I think, because I sold the EK radiator that I had, so I think I'm down to nothing but heat killer, Hardware Labs and Alpha Cool for radiators. And I have a lot.
I agree with you. I like Alpha Cool radiators. Yeah, there was a time there that they were having some quality control issues. They seem to resolve that.
Especially with crap in the radiators.
Yes.
Always wanted to flush them out really well.
Yeah, always flush them out. The solder balls, wasn't that it? Little solder balls in it, and you know, you kind of sound like a maraca. You shake them, and also the paint quality wasn't always the best. There was areas of the radiator weren't painted, or the logo was applied crooked. And
well, they fixed that problem by just don't put the logos on it. Just include stickers for you to put on yourself.
They stopped putting the logo on altogether. That's right.
Yeah. It was like, well, I guess that's one way. So if it's crooked, it's your fault.
Right. I didn't think about that. Yeah. Very good solution. That person probably got a raise in the company. Let's just stop putting the logo on the side. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. And the thing is, you know, it's like motherboards too, in regards to like who's your favorite manufacturer. My experience is I've used all the different brands, and I've had good and bad experiences with all the different brands. And we were having a dialogue on my Facebook page, just Bill Owen on Facebook, and it was basically, you learn which products are their best assets for a company. Some companies just have stuff that they do good, and then stuff they're not so good at. But unfortunately, we have to spend our money to discover what's good or bad. And I mean, I guess that's just in general. That's products, you know, like, you know, it can be any type of product. But from my perspective, as somebody that makes products, most of the stuff that PC Tech sells is products that we make in our own shop, is that I feel like when I put that out there and list it and people buy it, it better be good, and we better look at every angle that the consumer may consider for whatever scenario they're using it for, you know. And I guess, you know, the thing is with liquid cooling components is I've always felt that a lot of these manufacturers don't spend enough R&D time with the stuff before they put it out on the shelves. And we become the beta testers. And we're the ones discovering that the stuff leaks. Or
oops, sorry guys, that sucked.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
like
every
those
manufacturer...
XSPC Bay reservoirs, the black ones.
Those were a disaster for that company. I'm pretty sure that XSPC, these 5 1/4 Bay reservoirs, that they were they're like 5 or 6 years old at least now, and they're like this really weird material. I can't even remember what the description of the material is. It's like it's like a plastic composite of some sort. They leaked really bad, and now the thing is about this MOS, and I don't have 100% guarantee if this is right or not, but I believe they just renamed something that already existed for the aquarium market with those. It wasn't something they actually developed on their own and manufactured. They took something and they rebranded it for the PC water cooling market. And I could be wrong about that, but and that's the impression I got, you know. And there are, you know, these companies that they accept the fact that they're going to have a percentage of their product being RMA, and they're fine with that. And from my standpoint, I'm just baffled by that as a manufacturer, that you would do that, you know.
Well, yeah, I mean, I get it, but it doesn't. I don't like it. I mean, there's always going to be some sort of an amount of defects. Like, there's always going to be a sort of, you know, a certain number. No matter what you do, you're going to have X% that gets through QA or quality control, and it's like, well, I get it, but yeah, those were bad. They were bad.
Yeah, there was a lot of things, and that could be a marathon hangout about what's the good and bad, and then it would piss off some people and burn bridges. It's like the discussion of like, what's your favorite car make and why? And you know, someone's always going to disagree with that, right? And Callan,
Yes.
right? How you doing, buddy? You were one thing that you and I connected on is that we both love Volkswagens.
Yes. Very big fan of Volkswagens.
Yep. And the thing is, here's what's funny, Callan. Speaking of cars, I'm a like hardcore Volkswagen guy all my life. But I like all cars though too. I'm not just like, oh, it's got to be Volkswagen. It can't be anything else. And over this last year, I bought 2 Japanese cars, wagons, a Mitsubishi and a Honda. And I love the Honda. And some of my VW friends are like, Bill, what the, JDM, Bill, what the hell is this all about? It's like, I mean, really? Do we have to like? Do you have to take sides on this? It's just a good product, so.
It's true though. I mean, you can appreciate every car or something about it. I mean, there's always something that's part of it that can be appreciated regardless of the brand, make, or whatever.
Yeah. And are you in California? I can't remember where you are.
Oregon, Northwest.
Oregon, yeah. Which is actually a hotbed for PC modding and water cooling because Danger Den's headquarters was in Oregon, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Coolants isn't too far from us, and then we got PDX Land.
Oh, Coolants, okay.
Yeah, they're not too far away. They're in Washington, I believe, like an hour or so from here.
Now, let me interrupt you here regarding Coolants. That was another topic that came up on my Facebook today. Like people that Coolants has been around like when this hobby first started back in the late '90s. They were like one of the first innovators for liquid cooling for PCs. And I'm amazed, Callan, how many people have still not even heard of Coolants or seen their product in person yet.
Yeah, I mean, their names just aren't out there as much as like other companies are putting into, events, sponsorships, or, sponsorships with modders and stuff. You just don't see as much of it. No. And I don't know if they're just focusing their marketing somewhere else or what the deal is. I mean, they're a great company. Their stuff is really robust. I mean, I can give them that.
I can agree
really
there.
Well made, last forever kind of stuff.
Yeah. They're largely targeting the server and enterprise side of things, so not too surprising.
Yeah, true. A lot of companies are taking the leap from server kind of technology grade stuff into more the PC enthusiast market. Like Supermicro just made this huge jump over to the enthusiast market.
Yeah, they have. Surprise! We're here. Yeah, we're gonna
exactly. We're here. And we'll see how it turns out with anything. It just depends on how much they actually put behind it.
I don't know, buddy. I've actually worked with them, and actually Moss, I don't know if you saw it. What was it, 2 years ago now, Moss? Moss got their first gaming case. We had done, like, in one of my vlogs, we revealed their new gaming case. And Moss still has it today. Moss is trying to dump this case on all of us on the staff because he doesn't want it.
It's become the revolving joke, kind of, because I've never actually tried getting rid of it. I just keep telling everybody else that they need it. I was like, Graham, you really, really need this Supermicro case.
I've never even seen it.
Oh,
I didn't even know it existed.
Well, they have 2 of them now, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they do. They have the S5 mid-tower. Yeah, and that's a whole other subject too. Supermicro.
That's for another hangout.
They didn't quite get it, I don't think.
Well, you're gonna get me started now too. See, I've talked to the engineer at Supermicro a few times because we were the first to reveal this case. And actually, the build quality is decent. It's really decent. Cable management is a nightmare.
Well, it's fine as long as you don't mind seeing all of it.
Yeah.
I mean, they have a ton of little like grommet hooks or little like plastic hooks and stuff, but there's nowhere to put the wires. That's the problem. Is that they're all just out there.
There's no space behind the motherboard. It's like the towers of yore, back to the Chief Tech Dragon days. Like. But the overall build quality is decent,
Yeah.
Yeah. They realize that this is the gamer market is a good market to be in. They can make money from it, but like you're saying, their marketing, they don't have the best strategies. I mean, just throwing 2-page ads in CPU Magazine isn't necessarily going to sell your product, because CPU Magazine is an enthusiast magazine. We're all DIYers that read that magazine, and it's not really our market. Supermicro isn't our market. We're not their market, so it's more the people that want to buy something right off the shelf that's ready to go. And that's why that case that Mouse was just showing actually comes with a motherboard and power supply pre-installed.
Wow.
Hey, I'm here for them. If they need help, advice, consulting, they can contact me anytime. But anyways, Callan, so you've got this build that you've got entered in the Cooler Master contest. When is the deadline for that contest?
It was the 12th.
It's already over.
So it's over. They're doing the final judging right now.
Oh, do you have any idea where you're placing with it?
No, they don't. All I've heard about it as far as the judging goes is they go through and check everybody out. They ask people to check everything out to see what actually qualifies, so that you followed the rules of the competition, essentially. Mm-hmm. And then they go through, they take out those people that, didn't follow the rules at all, didn't post a build log, whatever it may be, just posted, a photo dump of pictures and da-da-da. They take all those out, and then they send out to the judges, I guess, a refined list of the people that are, that actually follow along. Mm-hmm. And then all that's judged with certain criteria. I think it's like the overall design, I think it's like 25%, the amount of detail, creativity, stuff like that. And then there's another 25% that's just up to the judge for their own feeling on, the build and so forth. I think it's like the end of the month we find out, sometime around there.
Cal, let me ask you this. This is something that I noticed with this contest. I followed this contest since they first started doing it several years ago. They were doing something new that you tipped me off to with your Twitter. Was they were posting your pictures, or you were posting them on this other website, and then Cooler Master was sharing them to get votes there. How was that all working out?
What do you mean?
Well, what I saw when I looked at your build, you had posted it on a site, and there was the other competitors had their builds posted on there. It was like Woo something. The link went to a Woo. That's
for People's Choice voting, which just ended. They have a section that they added. I think last year was the first year. They've had different names for it. This year it was called People's Choice. I think in past year they've done like Up and Coming or something like that, where they leave voting open to anybody that has a Facebook account can vote. And then it just is all down to votes. And they have one from each category, so for tower mods and scratch builds. And then those are all tabulated, and then they win a People's Choice. And then first through third place for each category, so scratch build and tower, is the actual, full-on contest that they have their judges that are people in the industry, other modders, like Dark Beavis is one of the judges, and other people in the industry that do the final judging on it.
Yeah, okay, cool.
So that just ended. I don't know. I assume they're going to announce the winners of everything at the same time, even though you can go on there and look and see, I think, who won as far as points-wise. So
was this your first year entering that contest?
Yeah, this is actually my first full-on water cooling build.
Oh, wow, man.
So I did a lot of custom stuff, like that big milled that water distribution block or water path on the back.
Yeah.
All that stuff. I really wanted to go all out with something original.
You did.
So luckily I missed the whole, flexible tube stage of water cooling, so I didn't have to deal with any of that. I just went straight to the hard line.
However, Callan, you'll learn that flexible tubing is your friend.
Oh, it's nice. It's nice. Trust me. I wish I could have used it. I mean, I could have, but let's be realistic. Voting-wise, it doesn't look too great with a flexible tube these days. Hardline's kind of a standard now. So.
Yeah, and you know, the Star Trek one that you were just asking about, that is going to somebody, and my experience with using that case, the Fantex Lux case, with a triple SLI setup, it's not a good candidate for triple SLI, people, because, and also he had 8 SSDs in RAID, and there isn't the real storage space in this thing.
Yeah.
And I probably spent a week just trying to, I don't know, strangle these snakes of cables and cobras into submission on the back of the motherboard tray to get everything in there. But the thing is it's just, I don't know, man. It's just, I'm just glad it's done, dude. So, but no, I love your build, and thank you for sharing it with us. And it's very impressive. And how much of it was done on your 3D printer?
Really just small stuff like brackets were a big thing I decided to do instead of just buying brackets for the frame, you know, to mount everything together. Yeah. There's some spacers. The EK logo on the top is made out of part 3D printed, part acrylic, part aluminum. They all kind of interlock together to make that top EK piece that's built into that handmade grill. I made as much as I could from myself, you know, instead of going and buying grill material, I made it from scratch. Like the hinges on the side, I didn't buy them. I 3D printed those, actually. I designed them and 3D printed those too. So little stuff like that, I mean, it's real nice.
Didn't you actually make your 3D printer as well?
Yeah, I used to design and build 3D printers.
Oh,
so
geez.
This one, it's a dual extruder setup, so it's got all the bells and whistles. I finished it like 3 years ago, and it'll still outprint anything on the market right now. So they're definitely nice tools to have. I actually used an experimental nozzle for all the prints for this build. It's a 1mm nozzle, which is a lot bigger than, you know, most, which is nice. It lowers the resolution, but your prints are like half the amount of time.
I've got his build up on screen share right now. Callan, when you were done with this, did you feel a little depressed that it was over?
Technically, it's not over for me because there was a few things that I decided I wanted to tweak or change or add that I didn't have time for due to the competition restraints that I'm doing right now. So I'm tweaking a couple things, and then I'm going to do another final photo shoot with those little changes. And then I will be done, and then I will be sad. Yes, I will be sad that I've got over 750 hours poured into this thing. So.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. Yeah.
So it's been my morning, noon, and night for months.
Has OCZ seen it yet?
Yeah, they love it.
Yeah, I bet they do. Did they share it on their fan page?
Yeah, actually, OCZ did. God, there was a couple other ones that shared it. I think it might go on EK's blog, and there's a couple other that will be coming out once I do the final pictures for it.
Cool. So. Yeah. It's weird how I've gotten to the point where, and I think other people will agree with this, I just want to get a project done so I can work on another project.
Yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about, and I've actually started planning, you know, details of the next build. Once I get towards the end of, you know, the current build, I'm starting planning details on the next one. During my breaks from building, I'm planning my next build. So
yeah, and as long as you've got the self-control to keep it to, you know, I'm not going to start the next one until I'm done with this one.
Exactly. That's the hard part.
Yeah.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's like, oh, well, I mean, you know, I'm waiting for this. I could just, you know, quickly start this one thing. Next thing you know, you're doing 2 things at once, and neither one of them get done, and you're like, oh, crap.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. So we've actually got a couple of questions here from our online, or from our YouTube chat window. First comes from Steel Fractal. What would be most beginner-friendly method to cut a hole in the front panel of an R5, which is the fractal design case, for extra ventilation? have access to laser cutting and a CNC in a fab lab, or would a Dremel work? Well, I mean, if you've got access to that type of equipment and somebody that will set it up for you, why not? I mean, you know, if you want to, but if you want to learn how to mod, you can use your Dremel, or you can look at using a jigsaw. If it's just a fan hole, you can get a hole saw attachment for your power drill. And I imagine you probably want to put at least a 120 millimeter or 140 millimeter fan in it. I mean, whenever people ask about something that's that simple, just do it yourself. Learn. And if you're like, I don't want to ruin it. It's my only bezel. I don't want to have to order another one. Practice on something first, and then do it.
Practice on somebody else's.
Yeah, I mean, you can.
Oh, go ahead.
I found you can get, you know, cheap cases for, you know, free on Craigslist. Use those to practice on. That's what I did. I mean, when I started out.
Yeah, those are the best. Is then you're just like, oh man, I just butchered this. Well, I guess I'll go pay $20 to buy another one.
Yeah, exactly. If you look hard enough, you can get them for free on there all the time.
That's true.
Yeah, the free
ones off of Craigslist. Yeah.
I just put a search announcement, so whenever it comes up in the free deal, I get an email from it and go check it out.
Sure. Yeah. Get it off my curb right now.
Exactly.
Okay. Now Gary Murphy asks, are more modders outsourcing tasks due to expensive tools, i.e., laser cutters, CNC? Are more modders outsourcing tasks due to expensive tools like a laser or CNC?
Yeah, so like, I mean, I don't know that more modders are outsourcing because it's expensive, or if they're outsourcing because they have access to somebody that can now. Because like,
make it easy.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, and if you have the designs, especially if you can come up with the designs or whatever, and if the design itself is the bigger task than actually doing it, then I think go for it. But I mean, if you're just cutting some square round holes, it might just be faster to just do it yourself than, you know.
Right.
But I don't know. I think it's one of those situations where you're kind of, you know, I have this tool, I want to use it. Go for it.
Well, I think it depends on what the project is. I mean, if you're talking something that's like Callan's build, which is very detailed and sophisticated, imagine him cutting all that stuff by hand. And he says he's got over, what did you say, like 800 hours?
Well, over 750 when the competition ended, so probably at least 800.
Yeah, well, then double that if it was all hand cut, and it wouldn't be as straight and perfect, because at some point you're like, I'm only human, right?
Yeah. Actually, the only parts that aren't hand cut on it is the one lower panel on one side. It's got that kind of grill vent look that's repetitive over and over. That was cut on a laser cutter. But the rest of everything else, other than the water block, was all hand done.
Mm-hmm. Oh, sure.
So,
what people don't realize, too, is all because it's a laser and CNC doesn't mean it's easy. Somebody still has to program it, and somebody still has to make a fixture to hold it, especially if it's CNC. Something's got to hold that object in there for the mill.
It's not. I mean, there's a lot of work.
Yeah, there's a setup fee. If you go to a machine shop and say, oh, I want this done, well, we're going to have to maybe make a fixture for it, and there's going to be a setup charge because we got to set up everything, and it takes a while because we want to do it right. If you're only giving us one piece, and we got one chance to cut it right, we've got to make sure everything is aligned correctly. So, you know, but I would say it all depends on what the project is, and there's nothing wrong with outsourcing. And we were talking about this in a previous Hangout. Remember, Drew suggested maker spaces were great resources to get access to this type of equipment and learn how to use it by somebody who's experienced.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true. It is. Some libraries are actually opening up little 3D print shops in the library and stuff, at least locally around here now, too.
Yeah, Callan, you know, your experience of making 3D printers, have you thought about making and selling your own line?
Yeah, I've thought about it, and you know, it's not me. I got to do what makes me happy, and really case modding's where it's at.
art. You like the artistic expression of it, I bet.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
like the creativity. Like I had a really bad brain injury a few years back, and since then, like my creativity's just been on overdrive, and I can't get mods out of my mind. Like everywhere I see something, and I'm like, oh my God, that's perfect. Like one time I was in a store and it hit me. I was looking at a shelf and it had this 45-degree angle on it, and I'm like, oh my God, 45-degree angles. And I'm running out of the store and I'm like, oh Jesus Christ, these people probably think I am a nutbag. But I get inspiration in everything I see now, and I just have to mod.
Did you get the injury on your left side of the head or the right side of the head? Is that maybe it
Actually,
impacted your artistic side more?
yeah, I'm not sure which part of my brain actually bled, but the injury was sustained to the left side, but I don't know which part of my brain it damaged.
What happened?
I actually, a long story short, I got jumped and robbed and beat within an inch of my life, and was in intensive care at OHSU for about a month and a half, 2 months. And so I now have epilepsy and a long list of medical issues from that. But modding's my outlet. It's where I get to be creative. Creative. It makes me happy. It's what I like to do. So I couldn't be happier to be able to do what I like and do it full time.
Wow, I'm actually hearing your story, and I didn't realize that, is that in a way I feel like we're honored to have you be a part of our hobby after having that experience, and this has been your outlet. You're like your therapy,
Yeah, it totally is my therapy. I mean, 100%. It gives me focus. It lets me get all these ideas out of my head. I just have to build it. That's how I feel.
Right. That gets frustrating. It's like not having enough time to do everything you want to do.
Exactly. And I'll try 50 things if that means that, only 49 of them fail, If I get that one thing out of trying 50 different things, I'm happy with it. And I learn, a bunch of stuff along the way. So I couldn't be happier to be in this hobby, that's for sure.
It's good, man. It's good to know you. Now we've got a new guy. I don't recognize, like me, I kind of sort of recognize his face, actually. Who are you?
Me?
Yeah, Stefan. Oh, Stefan. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely know Stefan by his emails.
Yeah. We've been exchanging quite a few lately.
Yeah. Everybody, Stefan is actually a moderator from Overclock.net in the Case Mod Project Worklog section, and your screen name is Duality92.
Yeah, exactly. Right?
Yeah. Well, welcome. And I don't mean to talk over you, but I guess I'm just excited to have all you guys on here today, because I, quite frankly, didn't think anybody would show up. Yeah,
well, I was driving home. We spent the day outside, and I saw the YouTube notification pop up on my cell phone. I'm like, oh, I can't wait to get home, try to get on the few last minutes at least, and, well, here I am.
Here you are. Yeah, and the thing is, we brought up the topic of OCN on our last Hangout, or no, our previous to the last Hangout, in regards to the paying a fee to be in the worklog section. So it would be really cool to hear your take on that whole argument, because you experienced it firsthand.
Yeah, I've been both sides of the spectrum on that. Well, there's some pros and cons. I mean, there's quite a few people that we've seen, they send us messages, oh, well, we don't want to pay the fee, and so we'll just go on other forums. I'm like, okay, that's fine, that's if you want to do that. But I mean, we're one of the biggest sites, so we get a lot of ins and outs on our website, so you get a lot of views for your money. And specifically the sponsored section, there's a lot of companies that are monitoring that specific section, so you're going to get a lot of attention, even though your views might not be as high as, let's say, on BitTech, because on BitTech the views per day are much higher than everywhere else.
Right, and the thing is about what you're learning, Stefan, about BitTech, what's weird about BitTech is that when you post a worklog there, you don't really always get that feedback from your audience. It's mostly people just lurking and watching, not necessarily posting comments or questions. So it's kind of weird you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can't deny that BitTech and OCN will give you the highest views for a work log for sure.
Yeah, I think on OCN, if you only have a regular build log, let's say in the Intel section or the case mod section, you won't get as many views because we have like I think it's like 6 or 7 different categories that people put build logins. So
Yeah.
if your build log is sponsored, well, it's going in the sponsored section, so you're gonna have a lot of views there, and people are most interested in looking at those also because they're usually bigger or better or whatever. But there's always a lot of hidden gems in the case mod section and well every other section that has build logs.
Yeah. Yep.
I will say that OCN has the best community of people out of any forum I've been on as far as feedback and interacting with people. They have a great community of people. That's where I started out at, was with OCN until obviously I got sponsored and didn't want to pay the fee.
What is the fee, by the way, guys? Is it like
I think it's not very much now.
$25 or something, right?
29.
Oh, yeah,
It's 29, and you can pay 79 for block of 3.
For 3. Yeah, that's what I thought.
Oh yeah,
But
yeah.
I will say, even in the case mod section, you guys do get a lot of views, though. I mean, my first build, I think, has over 50,000 views, and it's not sponsored. It's in the case mod section on OCN. So you can get a lot of traffic through there. I mean, even more so than some of the more popular sites. It's all about content, really.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, if you have something that people want to follow along, you'll get your views for sure.
Go
Yeah, I
ahead,
think
Bob.
I was gonna say I think I had because I usually posted on all three OCN, BitNEC, and the Mod Zoo. I think on OCN it was probably the highest percentage of comments to views or views to comments, I guess. So like I had the most number of comments per views on OCN versus any of the other three, which is
Yeah.
kind of nice to see that
Yeah.
people that are watching actually care enough to comment.
And Mas, you also experienced a bonus with one of the sites that spotted your work log through OCN and shared it on their site.
Yeah, Hackaday did. That was Visible Contrast, the one with the transparent LCD mod, and then crap just blew up, and it was nuts.
Well, Stefan, I mean, OCN, other than charging the fee for the work log, the block of 3 work logs, how else are they making their money? They're still running ad banners on their site, and
Well, when you get an overclocked account, basically you pay yearly or part of the staff, of course. You don't see any more ads at all. So
I
I'm
see.
not really even sure what
Okay.
ads on OCN anymore.
You don't see that anymore. All right. Oh, that's interesting. That's cool. What time is it in Canada right now? What part of Canada are you in?
I'm living in Quebec, so
Oh,
right now
Quebec,
it's
okay.
6:11 p.m.
Oh, okay. Yeah, just an hour ahead of us in Minnesota. That's cool. Mas, was there any other questions that are out there?
I don't think I caught any.
Okay.
If there are, I missed it. Sorry.
Okay. We're running 10 minutes over. Normally we do the hangout for an hour, but we'll run for another like 20 minutes today because people are joining in, finally seeing our notification that it's an open hangout. Is there anything that Stefan or Callan, you guys want to bring up or ask or share?
I can't really think of anything off the top of my head, but that doesn't mean anything. I mean, I don't know. I guess I'll just jump in if I think of something. That's usually how my brain works. So.
How about you, Stefan?
I've had a big day. I'm sunburnt everywhere, and I've been bathing all day. I'm so tired I can't think of anything right now off
You're
my head.
experiencing the same heat wave that we are here in Minnesota.
Yeah, I think it's like over 100 here.
Two of the topics we were talking about today was the falling prices of the 980 and 970 video cards. If you're in the market for a new video card, this is a good time to take advantage of that. And Masna and I were talking about, if you're watching eBay, you obviously take that risk if you get a crummy card from somebody, but you do have buyer protection for PayPal. And also what your favorite liquid cooling component manufacturer is. And is there a manufacturer that you don't buy from anymore because you had a bad experience with it?
Well, tubing, just specifically to tubing, I don't buy any more XSPC tubing because they get clouded so fast.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
The EK radiators, I mean, I have 3, but let's say they're supposed to be 120 millimeter wide, but they're actually like 125, so they're pretty wide.
Mhm.
So I think it's the Fractal Arc Mini R2 that I have. I had a really hard time fitting the radiator. I was sponsored for a build like a year and a half ago, and it was
Oh,
really a
yeah.
pain in the ass.
Moss touched on that because hardware labs are typically, their radiators are typically wider than the other radiators in the industry. And I've actually talked to the CEO of Hardware Labs frequently about this topic, Willie Uke. And he's like, well, we'd rather see people see the better performance numbers from our design versus making something that will fit more manufacturer retail cases, you know. And I gotta respect him for that, you know. Yeah, you know. And what you're seeing though too, Stefan, and in fact, Fantex is a great example of a case manufacturer that is taking into account all the different types of or brands of radiators on the market, so they can ensure that they'll fit, they'll have enough space for things, right?
Yeah. Oh, the Fantex P400 though, they made the worst mistake of not letting enough room on the top to put any radiator, just because of the thickness itself, and because of the way they put the. I know I'm going off topic a bit,
Oh,
but
that's all right.
just they centered the mounting holes, so with the motherboard you don't really have any room to actually mount a radiator. You can put fans, but you don't have any more than 25 millimeter to put
They didn't
anything.
offset the radiator mounting. It's not offset, so there's more room for like
No.
DDR. Oh, they keep it in the center.
Yeah, it's like
Oh,
really centered. I think it's OC3D. They made a really good review on it, and Tom talked a lot about it. And I mean, I got one anyways because I love the case. And then, well, you know what happened after? Decided to mod that thing, so
yeah,
here I am.
yeah, yeah. Moss, we should. I can grab it. Is bring up Stefan's project log because he's got it on the Mod Zoo.
I can try and get that going. See how quickly I can grab it.
It was funny, Stefan. You were talking about how that teal color that you used on the mod.
Yeah.
I actually thought that was going to be the final color you're using, and I actually liked it because it's very unique. But you said no, it won't be this teal color.
No, it is. It's only on the one of the ITX trays. I used it just to spray it on so I can draw on the tray itself to make lines instead of masking tape, because I knew I was going to repaint those trays. But there is going to be a lot of that color anyways on the fans, and I mean, I can get it out without breaking anything. Those are some of the cables that I've got sponsored, and I didn't make the.
Moss is good. Moss has got it up on the main screen now. Thank you,
pictures,
Moss. You can see the color scheme that Stefan's using for this.
So it is going to be red, this blue, and, well, black, of course.
Yeah, you don't ever see anything teal colored.
I mean, I think I found it at Walmart. I was just walking by and I was checking out, like, I was like, oh, they sell canned paints. Oh, it's on sale. Oh, I like that color. Oh, I'm going to buy it and use it someday.
Yeah,
There you go.
There you go. Is this your first Fantex case?
Yes.
Okay. Well, get a Primo, my friend.
Oh.
Next time, get a Primo. I mean, this is cool what you're doing. You're actually going to do a dual system in this. I mean, that's a big challenge because there isn't a lot of space in this chassis.
Yeah, I think it's only like 44 liters. So it's gonna
Yeah.
be like 22 liters for each system.
Do you have any regrets in choosing this chassis at this point?
Um, yes and no. Not really.
Okay, good. You're up for the challenge. Awesome.
Yeah. I mean, I have probably like 12 cases, and this is still one of my favorites. Though my all-time favorite will still be the Define R4, but
Oh yeah, yeah. I love fractal design. We got another question, guys, from our YouTube chat window, and it comes from Boogles McGee. You can also help with this. Um, he's asking, any advice for first-time water cooling? Should I start with an AIO, an all-in-one cooler, or jump into a full custom loop?
I think if someone wants to start off, like I started off buying an XSPC kit, so it comes with the Bay Res,
Mhm.
comes with the blocks, and you build it yourself. If you're going to, in my opinion, if you're going to buy like a Predator or the SwiftTech all-in-one kits, it's well, I guess you get the same experience, but you don't build it on yourself for the first time, so you're not immersed as much as if you buy all the components and do it yourself.
No, I agree. It's a nice way to get everything in a complete package, so you don't have to go and source all the individual components. It's all done for you already. And we did a series using AlphaCool kit like 2 years ago.
Yeah, I was just going to bring that up. And that was exactly our point, was that whatever gets you water cooling is the best option, I guess. I mean, and that's kind of what we said at the beginning of the video, too, or the series, was like, hey, it's the same parts that you would be buying if you bought them all individually. It's just somebody's already picked them out for you, so you know you have what you need.
Yeah. You got the pump, the radiator, or water block, the tubing, the connectors. Even they included the liquid as well. What I'll do is, Boogles, I wish we could share a link with that YouTube, but we did a 3-part series using their kit.
3 or 4, yeah.
Yeah, it was a few years ago. And just do that and get a feel for it. And afterward, then look at DIY. And another thing is, too, is that your pocketbook dictates what you can do. When you get into more custom DIY, some of the, like even just fittings can be really expensive. Then the water blocks, depending on what your video card or CPU is. There's so many choices that can really put a dent in your bank account. It's probably best. I agree. I like that idea of getting a DIY kit and just going with that for your first time. Versus all. For me, don't go all in one. Leave all in one. Forget that. Learn, man. Learn something. DIY. Learn. You're here watching us, the Mod Zoo guys. Why would you get an all-in-one cooler? Leave that for some other channel. We're DIY guys. Go with a kit. Yeah, I mean, and learn. Force yourself to learn. Throw yourself in the pool and learn to swim.
Come on in. The water's warm. Wait.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I did. I just jumped in toes first. This was my first water cooling build, and it's a full custom loop. So yeah, I guess it just depends on your proficiency. I mean, if you're a quick learner, you can research stuff well and follow along. I mean, there's no reason you can't step up to a full custom loop. The nice part about the package deals, where it's not all in one, but it's an all-in-one package, is you can actually, the stuff works together. You're not going to have those kinds of issues.
Right.
That is nice for people to learn that way. And companies are getting a lot better about educating people on their websites on what you need, what it's going to cost, that kind of stuff. You can get an idea of how the system works.
Yeah.
And it's becoming a lot easier compared to what it used to be.
Mm-hmm. And you've got us as a resource to ask.
Exactly.
If you tweet us, we'll direct you to where the answer is. We've also, when we started that series with that AlphaCool kit, we started a water cooling Q&A thread on the Mod Zoo, and people that watched the series could ask questions there, or any water cooling related questions, like what type of fitting would you guys use with a 1/2-inch OD hardline? What do you like, and why? So just ask if you feel, you know. But I think being like a Mod Zoo Munky is go out there and explore on your own and learn. Make mistakes. You're going to screw up things. Learn. You know, I can't stress that enough. You know,
just remember, as long as your system isn't actually powered on, even if you have a leak, it's not the end of the world.
No, it's not the end of the world. We've seen leaks, and it's not. And the leaks aren't always our fault. Sometimes the manufacturer has poor quality fittings or whatever. It's not. You know, just it happens. You just be prepared for it. You know.
Yeah, sure.
You know. So, but that sounds. Boogles McGee. Whatever you do, keep us updated on it, and know that you can ask us. And in a future Hangout, if you're watching and you get a kit, and you have any questions, let us know. Let us know how things progress. So I think that kind of covers all viewer questions, and we've got about 6 minutes left of this Hangout. We did an hour and a half, huh, Moss?
About that, yeah.
Yeah, I say it's success. We had some great guests in here. Hopefully Shimmy will figure out what the hell's going on with Google not recognizing his microphone. It's just a typical Google crap, guys. It's just... yeah, and if you're not a member of the Mod Zoo, you can go to the modzoo.com, join the forums. If you watch the Hangout, ask questions, start. We've got a hello and introduction thread on there. Introduce yourself. Guys, I got a really cool question from somebody today, a new member by the name of Holly that joined the forum, and she's got a Mountain Mods cube. When's the last time you've heard of somebody owning a Mountain Mods case? It's been a while.
Yeah, whoever it was that won the one at the that LAN that we had, the
dude, that was
Midwest
like 2010 years ago, and that was because nobody wanted it.
Yeah, it sold for like $25 or something like that because everybody was like, no thanks.
Yeah, Mountain Mods. Well, they are cool cases. MountainMods.com. What? Aren't they there, Callan, in Oregon too?
I think they are. I haven't been there, but I'm pretty sure I remember hearing they are from Oregon. If I remember right.
They make these obese cube-style cases, mountainmods.com, and they're still around making them, as far as I know. But she was asking some questions about making a modification on it, and I thought, hey, it's a girl. Hey, guys, it's a girl, and she's into our hobby. This is awesome. Maybe she'll share a project log in the forum at some point if we don't scare her off. So,
if I remember right, I think Mountain Mods you can buy like motherboard trays and rear I/O panels from them individually, which is good for scratch builds and stuff. And they're one of the few that I've seen, at least, that does that, which is awesome.
In fact, coincidentally, Stefan, I mentioned that in his work log thread on the Mod Zoo, because he had gotten a Case Labs motherboard tray and for his build, and I mentioned that if anybody else was watching his build, yep, there it is that if you're looking for a motherboard tray, you can get one from Case Labs, Mountain Mods, or you can find the Leon Lee mid-tower ones that are out there at some retail stores.
Yep, I've used the Leon Lee ones a couple of times. You can also get just the I/O brackets too for some of them, like the PCI slots and the rear I/O.
Yeah, because making that I/O by hand and like filing it down.
That can be obnoxious. Yeah.
I have better things to do with my time.
Exactly.
Yeah. Little Spartan though, we got he just disappeared. Jason. You're a little late, Jason. We just got a few minutes left. He's a longtime member of the zoo. Jason Pierce was going to join us. Something happened.
Google's.
Yeah. In any case, what we'll do is we'll do another open hangout again. I'm thinking probably won't happen until after July, considering that the other guests that we have lined up for future hangouts. You know, or you know what Moss and I did on Thursday night. We did a surprise hangout, like with hey, let's just turn on the hangout and just see who shows up.
Yeah, we were testing to see if Bill could actually host one of these things, but then I ended up being here anyway, so it worked out.
Yeah, so that was kind of fun.
I tried to show up to that hangout, and then it was gone when I got there. So I'm like, dude, I know I am not hallucinating this early in the day. Like, come on.
No, we had it up there, and we're like, let's delete it, and that way, if you see one and you join it, you feel, oh, I actually got to be a part of something that was special, and then you can share some stuff. We shared some more personal stuff on it that we normally wouldn't share in a Hangout, and we're like, let's delete it. So
Yeah, I'll have you know, Bill, that I spent a half hour looking for that tweet because I thought I had lost my mind. And I could see my response to it, but there was nothing above it. And I'm like, did I just type this for no reason? Like, what is going on?
I know.
But
We're being evil. That makes it special, though. So if you ever catch a surprise Hangout and you're in there, you can talk about anything, and then you don't have to worry. It's like Snapchat, but it's for like a Mod Zoo Hangout. It disappears after.
It sounds like a therapy session for modders, is what it sounds like.
You know what?
There you go.
You know what? That's happened with the when we get into a queue before we actually go live with the Hangout. We've got our guests. You never know what kind of news they're gonna drop on you, and you're like, hold on, dude. After the Hangout, we're gonna have to get into this.
There you go. There you go.
So, any case, we're gonna close this one out. Thanks, guys, for joining us. It was fun, and we actually get to see some faces and put the names with the faces, and we'll do another open Hangout sometime in the future. Thanks, Moss, for hosting it.
I don't think I screwed it up too bad this time.
No, you did great, man.
Great work, Moss.
Yeah, so we'll see you out on the interwebs, guys.
All right, thanks for having me.
Okay, you too.
Thanks, everybody.